The lights dimmed just enough for the air to thicken. The stage glowed with a soft golden hue, catching the glimmer in Jung Hae's eyes as he turned toward her. The camera zoomed in, not on the bright banners, not on the polished trophies, but on a single, trembling heartbeat. Jung So-min stood there, her gentle smile frozen. Time itself had decided to pause out of respect for what was about to happen. And then, before a nation that had followed their every drama, every scene, every hint of chemistry, he spoke. There were no grand gestures, no rehearsed lines. Just a man standing before a woman, the lights framing them like a confession meant only for two. His voice, deep yet fragile, carried across the silent room. So-min, I can't pretend anymore. For a moment, nobody moved. The crew behind the cameras forgot to breathe, the sound engineer's hands froze midair. On television screens across Seoul, in cafes, dorms, and late-night taxis, millions watched in disbelief as reality blurred with a romance they thought was scripted. It was supposed to be a press event for their upcoming series, a celebration of artistry and teamwork. Instead, it became something else entirely, something unplanned, unrehearsed, and achingly real. Jung Hae, known for his calm composure and modest charm, broke every unspoken rule of celebrity decorum. He confessed, live, without permission, without a script. And in that moment, South Korea didn't just watch, it felt. Words hung in the air longer than any applause ever could. So-min blinked, her lips parting slightly as if to speak. But no sound came out. Her eyes softened, glistening under the studio lights. The camera captured the faintest tremor in her chin. A flicker of confusion, or something much deeper, recognition. He wasn't acting. This was not another drama scene. It was real, unbearably so. The internet exploded within seconds. Hashtags flooded the web. Jung Hae in confession. So-min moment, real-life K-drama. News outlets scrambled to verify whether the moment was scripted. But those who had seen it live knew the truth in their bones. That silence after his words was too raw, too human. A stillness that even the most skilled director couldn't have staged. One headline read, Korea holds its breath as Jung Hae confesses love on air. Others simply said, the line between acting and feeling just vanished. To understand the gravity of that confession, one has to know their story. Jung Hae and Jung So-min first met not on the glow of fame. Quiet exhaustion of rehearsals. On set. Amid endless retakes and script revisions. They became partners in rhythm, two artists chasing authenticity in every gaze, every line. There was chemistry that even their co-stars whispered about. An energy too gentle to be forced and too consistent to be coincidental. He would laugh at her small mistakes, she would tease him for overthinking his lines. Bit by bit, they built a connection that existed beyond the cameras. Wrapped in respect and unspoken tenderness. He once said in an interview, acting isn't about pretending, it's about feeling something real in a fake world. Perhaps that was the first warning sign, he wasn't pretending anymore. Behind every take, every shared scene, there was something quietly blooming. They became known as the pair who didn't need direction to look at each other the right way. When Jung So-min stumbled on set, he was always the first to reach her. When she laughed too hard, he couldn't help but smile back. As if the sound alone reminded him why he chose this career. That chemistry became both a gift and a curse. The audience adored it, directors capitalized on it. But those who knew them saw something else, a tenderness neither could fully hide. There was a time when So-min was asked, "Ever fall for your co-stars?" She laughed, a soft, evasive laugh, and replied, "It's easy to feel something when you're acting. The hard part is stopping yourself from believing it's real." Perhaps she already knew she was standing on the edge of that line. After the confession aired, reactions rippled through the nation. Some fans cheered through tears, others sat in stunned silence. Social media turned into a collective diary of disbelief. One viewer wrote, "That wasn't an actor. That was a man telling his truth." Another posted, "It felt like watching the finale of the most beautiful drama ever, but it wasn't a show." Late-night talk shows debated whether his career was over or just beginning a new chapter. Older generations recalled their own forbidden romances. Teenagers replayed the clip until it no longer felt real. Analysts dissected every second of that night. Of his head, the timing of her breath, the single step he took closer, it all became national study material. Psychologists called it a confession phenomenon. describing how one authentic act of emotion could unite millions in shared vulnerability. For a country that treasures restraint and subtlety, Han's boldness was both scandalous and beautiful. In the following days, entertainment insiders revealed whispers from the set. Crew members spoke of small gestures they had noticed for months. He always waited for her car before leaving. The way she brought him tea during breaks. Her hand brushing his without intention. The more they spoke, the more the puzzle pieces aligned. They weren't hiding. One staff member said. They just didn't need words. Perhaps what truly captivated the nation was not the romance itself, but the courage it took to reveal it. In a world where love is often curated, filtered, and performed, Jung Hae chose to be real. He shattered the illusion of perfection by offering something imperfect and raw, his own heart. And in doing so, he reminded Korea of something it had almost forgotten, that even under the brightest lights, sincerity can still exist. As for Jung So-min, her silence became its own kind of poetry. She didn't rush to respond. She didn't issue statements or interviews. Instead, she carried herself with quiet grace. In a moment to breathe, that silence spoke louder than any declaration could. It was a silence that said, I hear you. I feel it too. But let's let the world wait. Days later, fans spotted her at a small cafe in Hanam-dong. Alone. Coffee cooling beside her. Mouthed faintly when a song by Haeun's favorite artist began to play. Someone captured that moment. And it went viral again. She smiled, the caption read. All we needed. For now, the story of Jung Hae and Jung So-min remains suspended between truth and dream. Between confession and answer. One thing is certain, their moment will be remembered. As a scandal. Not as publicity. But as a rare instant when art and life merged. When two souls forgot the script and chose to be human instead. And somewhere, in that timeless silence after his words, South Korea fell still, because for once, it wasn't watching a drama. It was watching love reveal itself in real time. Night after the confession, Seoul felt quieter than usual. The rain came down softly. Knew something fragile had just been born and didn't want to disturb it. Across the city, televisions replayed the same moment over and over, Jung Hae's trembling voice. Jung So-min's breath catching in her throat. Stillness that followed. Every replay carried new meaning. Every silence between their words seemed heavier. It wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was something sacred. Something people could feel in their own chests. But behind the closed doors of his apartment, Hae sat alone. His confession echoing in his mind. He had crossed a line few dared to cross. For years, he had been Korea's gentleman, the actor who respected boundaries, who kept emotions tidy and rehearsed. Yet that night, something inside him broke free. I wasn't supposed to say it, he would later admit to a close friend. But when I saw her standing there, I couldn't lie anymore. It hadn't been a reckless act, though it looked like one. In truth, he had carried those words for months. And rewritten them in silence. Late at night. Draft texts and delete them. He had thought of confessing privately. Maybe after the drama wrapped, maybe never. But as the final interview approached, and the stage lights drew near, the weight of restraint became unbearable. Rehearsed that line, one staff member recalled. But not as an actor. As a man who didn't want to regret silence. For Jung So-min, the aftermath was different, quieter, lonelier. But no less intense. She didn't answer calls for 2 days. Her agency fielded thousands of inquiries. Her fans demanded clarity. Yet she said nothing. Those who knew her understood why. She was never one to rush emotion. In private, she replayed the moment again and again. The sound of his voice wasn't just a confession, it was a memory of every glance. Every quiet laugh on set. Every time she caught him looking when he thought she wouldn't notice. They had spent months together on their drama. Scenes that blurred the lines between performance and reality. There was one moment, never aired, where their characters were meant to say goodbye. The cameras stopped. Neither of them broke eye contact. The director had to remind them, gently, cut. Everyone laughed then. Now, in hindsight, people wondered if that was the first time their real selves had slipped through the screen. Others called it a confession that shook Korea. Analysts debated whether it was real or a clever publicity stunt. But the truth, as simple as it was, could be neatly categorized. It was too human for that. It wasn't about careers or contracts, it was about timing, courage, and a feeling that refused to be buried beneath fame. With fame comes consequence. Brands began to hesitate, agencies whispered about damage control. Publicists urged restraint. Don't let emotion become scandal. One executive advised. Yet amidst all the noise, nothing remarkable happened. People sided with love. Fans flooded online forums with messages of support. We've seen enough fake love stories, one user wrote. Let them have a real one, another said. He didn't ruin his image. He restored ours. A week later, Jung So-min appeared at a charity event. Cameras flashed the moment she arrived, dressed simply, gracefully. Her expression unreadable. The reporters were relentless. So-min SSI. Do you have a response to Jung Hae's confession? She smiled faintly, pausing before answering. Sometimes, she said softly. The most beautiful moments don't need answers right away. That line became the next headline. The most beautiful moments don't need answers. And a confirmation. Nor a denial, but in her voice was something trembling, tender, and true. The nation, once again, fell silent. In private, they met weeks later, away from cameras. In a quiet tea house overlooking the Han River. No pictures of that meeting, no recordings. No witnesses, only whispers. Who knew them say that it wasn't a conversation filled with drama. It was quiet, honest, human. Apologized for the chaos, she told him she understood. There was laughter. Too, hesitant at first. Then genuine. When they left, they didn't walk apart. They walked side by side. A little closer than before. 4 months afterward, the story refused to fade. Inspired songs, essays, and even an independent short film. Young people in Korea began using the phrase "hang in it" to confess fearlessly, from the heart. His act became a symbol of something missing in modern love, sincerity. We live in a world of filters. Columnist wrote. But he chose the naked truth. And what of their relationship now? Neither confirmed nor denied. Sometimes, they are seen at the same events, sometimes, miles apart. But every time their eyes meet on stage, people still hold their breath. Perhaps it doesn't matter whether they're together. What matters is that, for one fleeting moment, they reminded a nation what real emotion looks like, unpolished, imperfect, breathtakingly brave. Months later, during a quiet interview abroad, Jung Hae was asked if he regretted it. Smiled and looked down before answering. Regret, he said. No. Because even if she never answers, I told the truth. And in this world, that's rare enough. His words became an echo, carried across articles, tweets, and hearts. And though time passed, it remained, a fixed star in the constellation of Korean entertainment. Glimmering not because of scandal, but because of sincerity. In the final lines of the drama they once filmed together, his character said, pretending not to know what our hearts already decided. That line, now replayed by fans, feels prophetic. Beyond the lights, beyond the roles. Perhaps both of them already knew. And so, the story of Jung Hae and Jung So-min became more than a headline. It became a memory engraved in the collective heart of a country that watched two people stumble into honesty. It was not perfect, certain, but it was real. In a world built on scripts, their moment was unscripted. In a culture where emotions are whispered, theirs was spoken aloud. And for one timeless evening, South Korea didn't just witness love, it believed in it again. Because sometimes, the most beautiful lines are the ones not written by screenwriters, but by the trembling heart of someone who finally dares to speak.